My name is Daniel, I'm from ServiceNow. I'm a product manager working in the technology workflows BU, primarily looking after our ITSM products and DevOps products in EMEA. What I want to share with you today is the idea around proactive service operations. So a few different concepts coming in there. First of all, proactive, right? And then second, what do we mean by service operations? How does it tie into the asset world? How does everything tie together in IT under service operations, and why is it important to us? We'll talk a bit about the kind of how it links into the strategy of the organization, how it links into what the executive level of the IT organization are talking about. That's the first bit. And then after that, we'll talk a little bit about what it means as a concept. And then we'll talk about ServiceNow's roadmap, because we've got loads of exciting stuff happening. I'm sure we've got customers in the room, we've got potential customers in the room. We want to show you the direction we're going and how we're supporting the evolution of that roadmap, how we're supporting you with new technologies, and why we're really on the cusp of innovation that will enable things that I've certainly wanted to happen within this space for years to happen, and why that's happening now, and why it's going to happen really fast. This is our old UI for ServiceNow. That was part of our pre-Aspen release, so that was back round about 2011, I think. This is ServiceNow now. So we can see that we're on mobile. We've got a fancy new interface which we're calling Polaris, or the Now experience. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to create experiences for people to engage with the job they do, the persona they are, rather than a set of processes. And that's kind of key to one of the concepts around service operations. It's more persona-based. It's more around, I have a job to do, and I interact with different processes to get there. Okay. So 3 key personas in IT at the top level. We've got the CIO, and the CIO has been saying recently, for the last few years, they've been making a bet around their spend, right? They've been saying, we're going to spend more on tech, right? We're going to do digital transformation. We're going to invest in the cloud. And we expect quality to improve. We expect to be more resilient. We expect to be able to do things faster. And actually, in a lot of cases, when we talk to customers, and what we see from research, what we see from industry trends is that's not how. Any CIOs in the room? I don't know if there are. Or anyone who knows any? What they're seeing is more service outages and a poor user experience. And CTO, they want to innovate more effectively. So they want to do things faster, right? They want to respond to the business. They're investing in things like DevOps, site reliability engineering, these new kind of ways of working. And actually, things aren't getting faster, right, in a lot of cases. DevOps is out there and working, SRO's out there and working, but the innovation isn't happening faster. And in CISO, more reliable security, right? We're again investing in security tools, investing in more kind of proactive threat intelligence, but things aren't getting more secure in a lot of cases, they're getting less secure. And the reason why this is happening is because things are getting more complex. The estate is getting more complex. We didn't move to the cloud all in one go. You know, I don't know how many years everyone's worked in IT, but for my entire career, people have been telling me that the mainframe is about to be retired, and it's not. You know, so we've still got the mainframe to look after, whilst we look after a cloud estate. Not just one cloud estate, right? If you're in financial services, certainly, or lots of other industries, but financial services, it's actually mandated you've got to have more than one cloud estate in a lot of cases. So it's getting more complex. And for the CTO, we've got these processes, but in a lot of cases, they're held up by more legacy processes, sometimes within ITSM. You know, things like change management, slowing down DevOps. Anyone ever heard of that happening? So, you know, we're finding that people are blocked. And actually, in a lot of cases, because what's happened in the organization is we've federated, right? So the business has either got sick of trying to deal with IT and has tried to move faster on its own, or IT's allowed it to happen, which is a good thing, right? We want the business to be more engaged. We want them to do things that are, you know, a little bit more in their control than ours, because we want to be able to react faster to what the business is doing. So federation is a good thing, but we need to maintain control. And that actually, that paradigm, bringing that together, is quite difficult and complex. And for the CISO, we've got an increased security perimeter, right? The multi-cloud environments, bring your own device, working over VPN, working mobile. It's a bigger perimeter to secure. And also, we've got more people wanting to attack us, right? And the threat, the reward from someone attacking us, or the risk that we face from someone effectively attacking us, is greater. So there's more incentive for people to do it. Right? So again, we need to invest there, and we need to make sure that we're tying all these things together, because they're not things we can deal with in silos. We can't look at the asset world and not look at the world of change. We can't look at DevOps without looking at how change management works. We can't look at our CMDB and our cloud strategy without looking at how asset works. So we can't look at security without all these things as well. We can't work in silos. Okay, so as I said before, disconnected silos and siloed processes and stakeholders are causing us to have a reduction in quality, to have more outages, to have poor user experience for our users within IT, for our users in the business, and for our customers outside. And broken pipelines, so not being able to connect up, CI/CD into change, into release and deploy, into operations, and then into effective asset strategies around life cycle, is causing us to possibly to become obsolete, right, in the marketplace. Because as our competitors are able to do these things and we can't, we become obsolete. They move faster, they increase their margins, they increase their revenue, they increase their product offering, they become more competitive. And the security picture as well, no one wants a system that's not secure, right? We all know brand impact, fines, compliance. And while all this is happening, we've actually got more demand coming into IT. So we've got more incidents than ever before. We've got more changes than ever before. We've got more threats than ever before. We've got faster moving IT. We've got ephemeral CIs. We've got all this to deal with while this is happening. So what can we do? Stronger, better, and safer. So that's the message we're taking from the technology workflows business unit in ServiceNow. So a single platform with connected systems. So one place where you can work across these systems. And in order to cope with the volume, in order to cope with the velocity that IT needs to move at, in order to cope with the compliance picture, because compliance is getting more difficult, it's getting tougher. Right? Not only do we have more compliance, we've got ESG compliance now, we've just heard about, coming into the picture as well. We've also need to have more real-time compliance. Regulators are able to ask us, they want to see right now what's happening. They don't want a report that's 6 months old that someone just signed off and filed, right? They want to know what the posture is right now. And the only way we're able to handle the volume of incidents, the volume of assets, the volume of changes, the volume of compliance is with automation. So we need to automate orchestrated workflows, people doing their jobs, people able to work across silos. That's what we need to do. And we need a resilient, proactive security posture. So we need to be able to connect up the components that are in our CI/CD pipeline with security scans that developers are doing, with our threat intelligence tools, with our risk tools, so that we've got one picture where we can see what's the threat, where's it coming from, are we secure, are we taking steps, are we having a workflow around how we're dealing with these threats and whether we know we're covered afterwards and whether we know what the risk is. And underpinning what's happening here, again, this is from our customers. This is what they're doing. So 4 key transformations taking place. At the baseline is transforming digital operations. So that's IT, right? That's what we're doing. And that includes things like how we work in the cloud, how our CMDB looks now, everything changes every 20 seconds. What we do around asset management and sweating the assets in a paradigm where the assets aren't necessarily the same things that the developers are releasing to, right? The assets are big bits of kit now in the cloud. And what we have is tiny little things that developers are connecting together and disappear and reappear. What are we doing around incident processes with this huge volume of incidents? What are we doing around CI/CD and joining up? What are we doing around federating whilst we maintain control? Scaling cloud excellence, getting to the cloud quicker, right? The cloud does actually, we see in a lot of cases, save people money, right? If you get to it quickly. So being able to get there quickly and then being able to adopt the technologies in the cloud, being cloud native, right? Rather than just lifting and shifting the estate we had, the legacy estate, into the cloud, which is relatively expensive to do and doesn't gain a load of benefits in terms of scalability and what the cloud promised. Accelerating software innovation, so being able to move at the pace the business wants to move at, being able to do multiple releases per day, right, sometimes, instead of having change control boards that meet every month and stuff runs over and sometimes stuff doesn't go in. That's not good enough for the business anymore. They need stuff to go in on a very regular basis, and we need to be able to respond to what their demands are and be able to meet those demands. And strengthening security and risk, so being able to know what our posture is, know where our components are deployed, know what the risks of those components are, know who owns the components, and then know what part of applications they make. So strengthening security, know the vectors and threats. So strengthening security and risk in there as well. 4 key transformations, and these are the investment themes, right? If you want to get something done in IT, you don't say, I want a better CMDB, right? The amount of times that a CIO has heard someone say to them, we need some investment to make a better CMDB. It's like, why? someone's been saying that to me for the last 20 years. We need more services. We need to understand our services better. Again, people have been saying that for the last 20 years. These are the programs that they're investing in. So if you want the investment, to move things forward, tag on to one of these things, right? And the arguments you've got around the same things, like why we need a better CMDB, why we need to be service orientated, why we need to invest in DevOps or a CI/CD tool chain, they tag on to these things, and it gets attention. And also, it takes us out of the realm of looking at, IT as being a ticketing organization or ITSM as being a ticketing organization, doing ticketing tools. It's not. It's strategic transformation. Okay, just one example. We could talk about any bit of IT that's in here, but this is incidents. So 10 to 20 increase in incident volume we're seeing at the moment. Incidents raised by people, right? More tickets than ever from people. More people are using IT, there's more tickets. Volume of incidents from machines as well. So we have event management that's creating alerts and creating incidents. We've got to deal with all that. There's a huge amount of it coming in. So 10 to 20 times the tickets. And I promise you, you're not going to be able to hire 10 to 20 times the amount of service desk people to deal with these tickets. There needs to be a better way of doing it. So we're talking about using AI-powered automation. So artificial intelligence, machine learning, predictive intelligence, all embedded in the ServiceNow platform, and automation sitting on top of it. So to inform us on what automation we need, to help us build the automation, and to help us fulfill the automation, we can use AI, we can use machine learning. And a concept. So this isn't a product. Service operations is not a product for ServiceNow. It's not even really a set of products, right? We have product families and product sets. We have a taxonomy around that. Service operations is more a concept about how people work in IT. So bringing together the idea that we have a service and we have operations. There we are, it's building. And then some key kind of themes, journeys around what we do. So expanding technology services while we reduce costs. In delivering employee experiences and resiliency. So being able to deliver out to people what they need at the time they need, in a timely manner, proactively fix things that they're experiencing, be able to see what the problems are that they're having before they report them to us. Understand the root causes of those things, maybe even before they're reported as well, and maybe even fix them before they happen. And also driving technology best practices, understanding where the bottlenecks are in our processes, understanding where things aren't flowing properly, understanding where we need to connect things together, understanding where we need to build automation. Sounds like a good place to be. But the idea is around connecting these things together, so not just having a config team, not having an ITAM team who do event management, and then the service desk kind of just sit over one side of it. You need the service desk to be connecting into where alerts are coming in, to be able to see them and make decisions and then tie things together. We need AI to be able to to help them draw insights from this stuff, because they may not understand the world of alerts, but if you give them a couple of incidents and say, are these things related, you want to tie them together, suddenly you get quite a good pattern around being able to correlate stuff, and correlation allows us to drive efficiencies and also root cause analysis. So it's a good thing too. Okay, we don't want to slow the business down while we're doing this. So we want to be able to allow federation, we want to be able to keep guardrails in place, we want to be able to allow them to operate and federate this stuff out, but we want to monitor it in a way that doesn't slow them down, and we want to be able to kind of course correct them as they're moving forward. So we want to be able to allow them to move how they want to move with course corrections, and really it's about the process owner stepping back into second line, and allowing people to operate what they do, operate change within a DevOps team, keep the guardrails up. Okay. So again, 3 phases to what we do here. So delivering an employee experience. So this is around the modernized phase of IT. So in here, we're creating the CMDB. Then we're using automation and we're using intelligence as the next step along the roadmap to try and make things more efficient, or to make things more efficient. And things like generative AI coming in there now, we'll show a little bit more about that in a second. And then later on, continually improve and optimize the resources we have. And this fits into our licensing model. So if you're aware of our licensing model for ServiceNow, this is our ITSM Standard, ITSM Pro, and then ITSM Enterprise licensing. But really what we're trying to meet is the idea that insufficient workforce is one of the #1 problem facing IT. We need to do more with less. We heard that earlier. Okay. So just a couple of previews of what's coming on the roadmap. So enhanced investigation experience. So again, what we're trying to do is we're trying to see what's going on customers' devices. So in here we've got an asset that's being tracked, right? And that's an end user asset, or it could be a server. In this case, I think it's a server on there. And the CPU utilization has gone up 100%. So we know there's something wrong. We're tracking what's happening on that device. We're tracking the process that are happening. We do this through an agent, right? That could be Microsoft Endpoint Manager. That could be the soon-to-be-released ServiceNow agent on the device. We're agnostic about that, right? We'll take a feed from wherever. We're not necessarily the golden source. We're just a place you can bring it in, a platform you can bring it all into and take action. So we've seen this is happening now, and we want to take action about it, right? So we want to end the process. But you don't necessarily just want to kill the process on a device when you're on the desk. So what we do is we ask for a user approval. And that happens when the user approves it, the process is stopped, and we can check to see whether that process has cooled down, whether the device is now working within the parameters. And we can do this across many devices, right? It doesn't have to just be on one device. It can be at scale. And we can configure playbooks to make this happen as well. So we can configure workflows and playbooks to make this happen within ServiceNow. Okay. Another thing we're looking at is digital end user experience. So how do we engage with people within IT? How do we engage with our customers on their devices to make the process of IT more efficient, to make us able to see what's going on, to make them able to interact with us in a way that's easier? And again, we're looking at an end user experience. This is on their device. This is an example. This is coming in the Washington release, Q1 next year. If we go into there, we're telling them that there's a problem with the physical memory usage on their machine. We're giving them some tips around what they might want to do. Again, going forward, that could be generated by Gen AI, right? So that could be scanning knowledge articles and tickets that we've seen in the past and generating a response for them. They can take some steps to remediate. It might involve doing something themselves, right? Self-help. Or it might involve reporting a ticket. We know what's running on the machine. The agent's telling us what's running on their machine. They can click on that and say, actually, you know what? I have a problem with Zoom, right? No more going to a form on the portal and saying, what service offering are you reporting your issue with, which no one ever really knew anyhow. No more putting the CI in as their laptop when actually it's not. It's Miro, which is a cloud-native application in there. And then what that allows us to do is gain insight about where things are happening, because we've got structured data, very structured data coming back from the end users. And so we can see hotspots, we can see where things are happening. If you're a global, it might look like that, but it doesn't necessarily have to. So we can see where things are happening, we can group, we can take action, we can automate, possibly, and remediate en masse, right? Because we know where this is happening now, and we can take steps against that. So we're driving insight, we're driving action, we're driving proactive response. Another exciting thing happening, so Washington release, Q1. We've got some of this. I've seen this working platform, by the way. It's not all smoke and mirrors. It's not flying cars. So we've got chat summary by AI. So what we're doing is we're looking at what the chat is through any chat channel. That could be Teams or it could be ServiceNow. And we're summarizing the chat down there. So we can see it's been summarized. So when we're handing over, we quickly can see the history of the chat, right? And those two little symbols on the side tell us that it's been summarized by AI. And AI can respond, right? Suggest a response. It doesn't send it, right? But it just says, here's a summary and here's how I'd respond, right? Send. Suddenly you can do more with less. Suddenly the people on the desk are not having to type, cut and paste, have a little notepad file where I used to work on desk, where they cut and paste the response telling them to reboot their PC. We get a relevant response that comes in the active chat. Same within the tickets. So what we're seeing here is there's a smart summary of what's happened in the incident as it's passed around. We can see a smart summary of the activity. We can have a suggestion around the work notes that we put in, so we get better visibility of what's happening within the incidents. And we can create a knowledge article from it. So there's a suggested knowledge article that comes up. Again, Gen AI working there behind the scenes. And that would then go to preview, go through the workflow. You'd have someone who goes and approves it, maybe edits it a bit, but goes out there. But actually what we're doing is now, what I was saying about the paradigm shift is, this is one example of things we've never been able to do before. There's never been enough resources to create knowledge articles properly, right? I did implementations for 10 years, and the amount of times we looked at doing knowledge, and it kind of fizzles out because operationally you've got 101 incidents in the queue to do. Being able to generate this type of knowledge, having AI do it, send it to the right people, they just approve it, it goes out there, it gets linked back to the right things because we've gone to the end user devices and we've seen what they've got on their machines and they've clicked and logged the ticket properly. Suddenly things are starting to come together for me. Again, major incident, this is being Washington released next year, so we'll start probably in November putting some stuff in Service Ops Workspace around, so Service Operations Workspace is the UI you can see there. Into Washington, major incident workbench will be well and truly in there, and we'll start to be able to use Gen AI within major incident to compose summaries, to communicate, to suggest ways of communicating. You can see in there some fairly simple, kind of parameters that we give it to say who we want to communicate with. So, you know, it's not just about one size fits all. Visualizing the trail of events, right? Being able to present that to auditors and for compliance people so that we have different ways different methods of reporting out to people. Maybe we need to produce a summary for a regulator in Singapore or for the central bank or for one of the pharmaceutical regulators. You know, that could be produced on a format that we specify. And you can see over to the side as well, we've got a timeline that's been built and presented through there. Again, insight being generated through machine learning, through predictive intelligence. So, moving forward, we've got, we're connecting the silos. So we've got the ability to connect up from our DevOps end, from our federated parts of IT, from within teams that are working within site reliability, within DevOps methodologies, moving right the way across into ITSM processes, changing how we do the ITSM processes, applying more machine learning and AI. You know, being able to deal with the volume of incidents that we've got, being able to deal with the volume of assets we've got, being able to deal with the volume of changes we've got. And all of this gives us greater visibility. It enables us to build the structure better. It enables us to see where our services are, right? And then we can start working on things like tying in ESG, tying in better mobility within the cloud, understanding where our security posture is. So huge benefits with ServiceNow moving forward. Thank you.